goes the incredible Lockheed U-2S. Decided it needed to gather greater intelligence on Soviet capabilities, and yet it still remains so relevant in conflicts and other crisis areas today. That's why they continue to be based around the world, including here at Fairford. And someone who knows all about this is a former U-2 pilot, call sign Popeye, Scott Thompson. Welcome back to RIAT.
Hello Ben, great to be here.
Now I believe, apart from anything else, as we go through this display, we'll actually be able to hear some of the chase car transmissions later on when those parts of the demo take place. But what are we going to be seeing first off?
First off, we're going to be seeing the airplane doing something that you don't typically see from the ground, which is a U-2 pulling its gear up. Now, this airplane is going to be doing what is, for it, a high-speed pass. You're not going to see any shock waves or anything, but maximum 240 knots indicated airspeed is what that airplane will be achieving, which for what is essentially a glider with a jet engine shoved in the middle of it is quite fast.
Now, I mentioned that this aircraft is in a configuration we've never seen before in a flying display, as far as we know. Just explain a little bit more about that, if you would.
That's right. The configuration of the airplane that you're seeing in front of you today is what it would typically be configured for an operational mission. And what that means is there's some sensitive equipment on board housed appropriately that would be used wherever the operational commanders request it to be. So the signals intelligence suite is in the superpods that are on the wings, and that listens, as you might, the eyes and ears, as you might be able to determine, and the eyes are on the nose of the airplane. So the different sensors that we can put on the nose are electro-optical infrared sensor or synthetic aperture radar, both being able to achieve something that you cannot achieve from low altitude sensors. Collected or actively collected is then transmitted through the satellite dish that is on the back of the airplane that goes into the satellite architecture down to a ground station where the information is processed.
And that's in what's codenamed the senior span pod, isn't it?
That's correct, senior span.
And what about the nose? Because again, that can take different sensor fits, can't it?
That's right. It's typically the optical sensor that's on the nose of the airplane, and it will take different appearances with those different sensors. So as I mentioned, the synthetic aperture radar is the sensor that's on board at this moment, which is the longest nose that the U-2 has. And when it has that long nose, it makes it even more difficult to land the airplane, because as you get into the landing attitude with the higher AOA, the long nose obscures the runway, which when you're wearing a pressure suit after a 9.5-hour mission, with the fatigue that you experience without that being able to stand up, use facilities, those types of things, you need the help of your wingman, and that's the mobile officer in the car.
And we'll come on to that in a little while, but for the moment it's going to go quite quiet.
It's going to go quite quiet because what he's setting up to do now is what's called a simulated flame out. For training purposes, he's going to be setting up for what we call high key, setting out some drag to simulate that the engine has failed. So the glide ratio that you'll be experiencing watching now is the same as it would if the engine was actually failed. So it truly is gliding.
Now, as we watch the aircraft coming past, I think it's worth reflecting, given our eyes in the skies theme, how the U-2's capability has evolved, even in relatively recent times, because wet film used to be the order of the day. Was it 2022 or so that was retired?
That's right, the optical bar camera is what that was called, and it had actual film, several miles of film on a large reel, produced by Kodak, that was in the back of the airplane, and it was a purely optical sensor, passively operated, and it's basically the sensor that the airplane was built with, and it was just recently retired, that particular sensor, but it's been replaced with far more high-fidelity sensors as far as imagery and both signals intelligence as well.
And we're talking real-time transmission, aren't we, to commanders on the ground?
That's absolutely right. Something the optical bar camera, the wet film, wasn't capable of doing, was taking the picture and processing it immediately and getting it to the commanders. But the imagery sensors that we have today are absolutely able to do that. And coupled with artificial intelligence, the processing timeline has come down to real time.
Now, we're getting into the approach phase now, and let's just consider that the U-2 can fly missions as long as 10 hours in duration, typically, so the pilots might well be a little fatigued when they're returning, so this all enhances the importance of having the chase car support.
That's correct. The chase car is it's an interceptor package of a Dodge Charger, which is what is typically used as a police car in the United States.
Yes.
And so it has a lot of get up and go, so to say. And it has the ability, we'll be doing probably about 120 miles an hour to catch the airplane. Once it gets up near the aircraft, it'll slow down to around 80 miles per hour. And the pilot that's in the car is also a U-2 pilot and knows exactly what's needed to safely land the airplane. They'll give inputs, whether it's left or right rudder, hold it off, and things to that effect.
So, watch out at the right-hand end of the runway as the U-2 turns onto very short finals, and let's try and listen out, if we can, for the chase car. The chase car not underway yet, just getting underway now, and we'll soon hear the occupants talking the U-2 down and calling out the heights.
Here comes the chase car.
We talked a little bit about the what's colloquially referred to as the spacesuit, the pressure suit. The pilot not needing to wear one today, as he would on a typical operational mission.
That's right. The uniform that the pilot's wearing today is just a typical flight suit, which we do for any of the low missions, as we call them. If the pilot's going to fly on a high mission, specifically going over what's called Armstrong's Line, then he'll be wearing a full pressure suit
At home here in Gloucestershire. And now, once again, the chase car will be waiting at the end of the runway, ready to make those crucial calls to the pilot as the U-2 comes in for its full stop landing.
One more thing to keep an eye out for, Ben, is the landing configuration of this airplane. So it has a bicycle landing gear, tandem, meaning the wheel in front and the wheel in back, nothing on the wings. So as it touches down, one wing will eventually contact.
Well, there, a live U-2 landing taking you into the cabin of the Dodge Charger chase car, and what a spectacle that is. And Pop, I would very much hope it's one that we'll be able to see again in the future.
With 70% of the aircraft's lifespan remaining, we sure hope so too.
Let's just have a word as the aircraft rolls past. I love how weathered and operational this aircraft looks. About the 99th Expeditionary Reconnaissance Squadron tail markings on the aeroplane.
So that's our Friday tail flaps. That's a red dragon with a top hat and a monocle, having a nice cup of tea.
I love it. What a fantastic aeroplane. Please pass on our thanks to all the crew from the 99th ERS who made this happen, the Lockheed U-2S. Just magnificent sight. Oh my God, so much for coming. Of course, people can look at U-2 close up from the static part as well here.
That's right, just behind us here is the slick display U-2. Absolutely go up, get up close and personal, and have a good look at the airplane.
And they can see your Fairchild 24 Argus.
That's right, the Argus is just nearby. Have another look at that airplane as well. It's really appreciated. Enjoy.
Scott Thompson, great to have you back with us, and I hope you'll have a chance to
See you back. See you next year.
Thank you.